Tara Cummins, and she's head brainstormer, which is a really cool title. Can you share with us the most successful campaign to date that you've either worked on yourself or that you've been affiliated with?
Yeah, one of my favorite examples was a high-end retail location here in Hawaii that I was brought in on the tail end, and there really wasn't a lot of time to do some of the prep work that we might normally want to do before we develop a campaign. I took the campaign because I knew it would be a challenge, and I still felt that we could make a difference with their end goals. Their end goals being to drive some traffic to a VIP event that was a precursor to a 3-day sales event. And this particular company is a little bit unique in the sense that they service a portion of a person's life as opposed to a lifetime. And so they're constantly looking for new customers. Mm-hmm. But because we didn't have a lot of time, we weren't able to develop a lot of content. They were in a fairly new phase of social media. They'd been using it, but they hadn't really been doing it with any kind of direction. So they sort of had an audience. Their audience didn't really know what to expect of them. So we took existing content, developed a couple of hashtags, and created a small campaign with basically what we had. Again, no custom content time. So that's a real challenge for social media people when creating custom content isn't an option. So we identified mostly videos that were relevant to the customers in a variety of ways, and started sharing those and tying it back to why it was relevant to the organization and to the product. So at the end of the day, we increased, we wanted to drive traffic to the store. We were able to identify that the more social media engagement they had, the better their conversions, which their conversions were already quite high. Mm-hmm. We were also able to grow their audience by about 80% on Facebook and another percent on Twitter, just through best practices, engagement, and sharing, and a little bit of strategy, a little bit of thought gone into it, some planning, and then we had 80% of the RSVPs for the VIP event were off our social media channels. Yeah, which was really exciting because they were all new customers, all new potential customers. It was. So what we were able to show was that if we take a strategic approach and we do some planning, that we can make a direct impact on the business. We were also able to show a direct sales right off of social media.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was, also a challenge for social media and digital marketing pros is that last touch attribution issue with where does the sale actually come from.
Sure.
But we were actually, through some communication and the rest, able to identify one sale, and it was a large, over $7,000 sale.
Nice.
So the ROI on that campaign was pretty clear, and I was really proud of it. And I probably would not do quite that kind of a campaign again. It was just a little too close, too tight of a timeline. But as I said, I took the project knowing it would be a challenge, and kind of asking myself, can you put your money where your mouth is, girl? And so I did it, and I was really proud of that effort.
Awesome, excellent. And what was the time frame for that?
It was less than 2 weeks.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, congrats. Very cool.
Yeah.
So you've done some significant work in making headway for determining ROI on social media. What are the latest advancements that you've been researching and sharing?
I think, one of the hot topics for me with ROI, specifically in social media, not necessarily in the broader scope of digital media, is that the influence of the word of mouth and how to track and value some of those pieces. Mm-hmm. We know that customers, clients, potential partners don't always act immediately when they first see an offer, a promo, or even your brand. And so we want to try and create a timeline for how those touch points affect the process. And then also the value of word of mouth. It's a little bit building on the influencer concept. So certainly influencers have more ability to reach a wider audience, but that in and of itself doesn't necessarily have value. Just a wide audience doesn't necessarily have value. We also know that. And so I'm trying to identify ways for companies, and this is definitely a work in progress, but I'm trying to identify ways for companies to really value some of their social media efforts on an ROI with an eye towards ROI on that word of mouth piece, and that word of mouth piece is still evolving as well. But there's some research out there that shows that it is truly valuable to ROI, and I just think it's an important element for if you're taking a long-term approach to social media, which everybody should be doing. So while you might only look at it in the context of a campaign, it should be something that you continue to track post-campaign so that you really get a view of what the campaign's effectiveness was. I'm really, really hopeful. I mean, as a matter of fact, just today I was contacted to be a tester for for a new product that is going to help us with ROI. I'm really hopeful that in the next year, maybe the next year and a half, digital CRM will start to become the secondary leg behind the analytics of social media. I think we're headed in that direction. I'm really excited to see it happen. And that's going to really make the business results and the ROI more clear for businesses who want to take a long-term and even a short-term view on their social media efforts. So,
excellent. So that brings me to my next question, which is, what trends are you expecting to see? I know we just started a new year, so 2011 is now behind us, and I do expect, like you said, some major changes to come by way of that. But what else?
In addition to the social CRM piece, I think we're going to see, especially with Facebook apps and the rest, more gaming in the social space, and engaging people in a fun way, in a stickier way than we've seen in the past. And I think we're also going to video is going to be a huge piece of content. You know this. You're doing this via video as opposed to a e-interview or any of the other resources that you could have used. And I also think we cannot discount the fact that mobile has hit it has its place now permanently in our pockets, and that's going to affect most of us. They're projecting. I've seen projections. I think it was by Morgan Stanley. They're projecting that iPhone and iPad or smartphone and tablet use of digital consumption of digital media is going to overtake our desktop in the next 10 years. So, one of the things that's interesting to me about that, whether that number is actually true or not, is it's less relevant than the key takeaway for me, which is when you get on a smartphone or a tablet, you almost inherently start using social media more because it can be more immediate, and it's you can do it when you're out and about, which is kind of part of the fun of social media. So I think that's going to directly impact the use of social media and the number of people that are using it regularly, including sites like Twitter and Foursquare, some of the sites that aren't quite the 800-pound gorillas that some of the others are, but are really great when you're on the fly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I have to mention we'll be in Hawaii very soon, a couple of weeks now, February 13th or 15th for PubCon. And so because you're local, I have to ask you maybe 2 places that our attendees must try while they're in Hawaii.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to try and go, I'll go high end first because I'm a little bit of a foodie. Okay. I recently had a chance to eat at Morimoto's in Waikiki. And if you know Morimoto's name, he's the Iron Chef. And he actually really, I learned this while I was there. I had a chance to briefly meet him. He was on his way out, so not real interested in spending a lot of time chatting with me. But he loves Hawaii, and so it's not unusual to find him in the kitchen. His staff told me that that's not altogether unusual. Which, if you've ever been to any of those name restaurants, it's very unusual to find the actual chef in the kitchen. So I think you've got it. That's a great place to start. The other thing is Hawaii is a mixed blend of cultures, and we have a lot of foods here that are a little different and that you might not try elsewhere. If you get a chance to try musubi, a spam musubi, which is basically looks like spam sushi. It's salty, tasty goodness that is perfect for a post-beach snack. And you can find those, you can find them at 7-Eleven, you can find them at the ABC store, you can find them all over the place. It's usually warm also, which is really, you feel like you need a little adventure to try it, but once you have it, I guarantee you'll be hooked. And then, our plate lunch is, what we call plate lunch is basically, macaroni salad, what everyone else calls macaroni salad, we just call salad. And usually a Kahlua pork or something along those lines. It's meant to be eaten kind of quickly on the fly, but it's a little carb overload, but it's meant to push you through the day. And if you can find a place a truck, someplace on the side of the road, one of our drive-ins, L&L drive-ins, that's doing a plate lunch, pull over and go ahead and take advantage of that, because that's a really great example of how we eat here regularly. I should do a blog post on this, because the food here is different. There's definitely an Asian influence, not just Japanese, but Korean and Chinese as well. We also have a Filipino influence here on food. So the foods that are here are really, really different than the foods elsewhere in the United States. And so take advantage of that. I should do a blog post on it with some recommendations and some ideas.
You should. You'll have to let us know if you get around to that.
I will definitely do that.
All right, Tara. Well, that's about it for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was great meeting you too. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.